When the World Comes to Texas is a podcast from our partners at KERA in North Texas, exploring what it means to bring the World Cup to the Lone Star State. We're sharing these episodes every Tuesday night through June 16th at texasstandard.org. You can find out more and find the program wherever you get your podcasts.
It's the world's biggest sport, and it's about to make its splash here in the U.S. I'm Ron Corning.
I'm Miranda Suarez.
And we're your hosts for When the World Comes to Texas,
a new limited series podcast from KERA News about the 2026 FIFA World Cup and all things North Texas soccer.
When you tune into a soccer game or any sporting event for that matter, you hear journalists and commentators giving you the action, play by play, what's actually happening. But what if you're not able to watch the game? What does that commentary sound like?
Elliott Stockdale is the founder of Hear Sport, a service that provides audio descriptive commentary for people who are blind or low vision. He's been providing this commentary since he was 17 years old, and he joins us to talk about that now. Elliott, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me on. Really excited.
As we mentioned at the top, you've been doing this since you were 17. How did you get started?
Oh, going back now a few years, I'm starting to get a few grey hairs. So back in 2017, I'd always wanted to be a soccer commentator, as I'm sure many fans growing up with their sport, they want to be involved in it. I used to commentate the FIFA video games. Mm-hmm. Used to commentate that in my room. Always used to scream the house down. Mum used to text me saying I need to be quiet for the neighbours. But my boyhood team, Nottingham Forest, who are now in the Premier League, put a tweet out asking for people to apply to become a commentator for the team. Everyone sent it me. I applied, not thinking much of it. Managed to get through to the training day when I then discovered that it was for audio description. I'd never heard of it by that point. Went through the training day, then got the call the next day to invite me on to join the team. So it was all a bit of a whirlwind, a really fun experience. But I went in unknown about what audio description was before then obviously taking it up.
Do you know how many people you were competing with when you went to that audition?
Yes. So first of all, for the actual training, to actually get to the training day, there were over, 100 applicants. So I was pretty happy to get through, to the final 10. And then from that final 10, I was the one selected.
How did it feel to get to say, okay, now I get to commentate for Nottingham Forest?
I mean, look, we're in Dallas, so I'll try and relate it to that. It's as if you're getting the call to go commentate for the Cowboys or the Mavericks, and that's what you've been watching your whole life. For me, I did somehow achieve my lifelong dream at 17. Yeah. And yes, it wasn't on TV, but that didn't matter to me. I was going to be in the stadium calling these players, calling my favourite team. And I remember when I got the phone call, the minute it hung up, I just started running around the room. Just couldn't believe, I didn't know how to really express the emotion. And I just kept kind of pinching myself then over the years as I kept on doing it for the team.
Also, this idea that you're providing a service and making the game accessible to people who are sight impaired and can't actually watch the game. When did you make that connection as a 17-year-old that you were doing something of such great value for people?
I wish I could say I realised that early on, but I don't think I did. I think I was too naive at the time, as I think most 17-year-olds would be. I think it was probably midway through that first season, we got a message from one of the supporters. They just sent an email in thanking us for the service, saying how much it had helped them. And that really allowed me to understand the impact that I was having on, it might not be 1,000, 2,000 people, but on those 4 or 5 people that are going to the game. Now that I know that I'm having that impact, that kind of changed the way that I did things, because it was sort of, for me, I was going to the games and doing the commentary, and I was like really proud to be able to do this from my personal perspective, from my career. But then when I realised the actual impact I was having for people, it kind of just switched around. And then when I was commentating, I knew where they were in the stadium, the kind of impact then I was having on those people. And something that's so special about audio description, a lot of the fans weren't born blind. They became blind throughout their life. So they went to the games, then stopped coming because they felt a little bit anxious. And what ADC does is bring them back into the stadium. It allows them to enjoy the atmosphere. It allows them to have those conversations again. And knowing that you're a part of that and you're helping them achieve that, I think is really special.
And what is different about your work versus traditional commentating? What do you have to keep in mind that a traditional commentator doesn't?
Yeah, so you've got TV commentary, That's your standard stuff. You're just constantly talking about the game, probably just saying the players' names. Then you've got radio commentary, which technically should be ADC.
Yeah,
You can't see while you're listening to the radio. But it's over the last maybe 2 or 3 decades, it's become more of a TV style commentary. You'll have the two commentators talking amongst each other while there's action going on. ADC, from the first minute all the way up into the last, you're constantly describing what's going on the field, where the ball is positioned, what the players are doing, what the coaching staff are doing, the colour of the jerseys, then also what's going on in the stands. Are there flags being waved? Are there tifos? Are there smoke grenades going off? All of that you're constantly describing. And then even before and after the game, if there are fireworks shows, ceremonies, dance troupes, whatever that may be, we're also then describing that. The example I gave a few weeks ago, the Texas Rangers have like this dot race. There's a green dot, a blue dot, and a red dot that race around at one of the intervals during the game. That's something that we would commentate over and describe, because a blind fan wouldn't know that is happening. They'd just be sat there wondering, okay, well, the play's now not happening. I'm just going to sit here for the next 10 minutes. Whereas we'd then actually describe that action and try and immerse them into everything that's happening on a game day.
I want to believe that what you're describing is more interesting than some of what you do here on the radio, and I'm wondering if you've seen radio folks draw from the descriptives that you use to make their commentary better for a broader audience.
Yeah, well, I've had some really good conversations with radio commentators, especially since moving here to the United States, that just didn't realise that this is sort of the level of description that they should be doing. So then they're adding in a little bit more colour to what they're doing, describing the scene a little bit more. So for example, when you go into a stadium and you're settling in your seat, you might not normally have had the stadium described, whereas let's take for example the Cotton Bowl. It's a 2-tiered stadium, so you want to describe how that looks, where the big screens are, where the writing is, where those big tifos are for those teams like Dallas Trinity, for example. And radio commentators that I've spoke to are now understanding that and starting to add that little bit in to the start of their broadcast, in the middle, and then towards the end as well.
What is a tifo?
That's a really good question. Hard to describe, actually. It's essentially a huge flag or banner that is displayed across multiple sections of the stand by fans, so that it will be kind of unravelled from either the top or the bottom, and it will display, it could be a number of things. Over in the UK, a lot of teams use it to, so Birmingham City, for example, if you're familiar with the TV show Peaky Blinders, they just over the last weekend unveiled a tifo that had a couple of their club legends and then Tommy Shelby in the middle to display, to kind of promote Peaky Blinders. So stuff like that, really. It's kind of, rather than you waving a flag, it kind of gets everyone involved across that stand, wherever you're putting that in.
It sounds like the principle is to make sure that everybody can experience the game as a whole in the same way.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah, it's allowing, it's essentially creating a level playing field for everyone. Anyone who comes to a game should be able to experience it in the same way. The way that I was taught way back when I was 17 is that if a fan is coming to a stadium, they should be able to follow the ball with their head, literally turning wherever the ball is on the field. And then afterwards, again, in the UK, we like to go to the pub after the game, have a pint. The fans, they want to be able to go in there, speak with their friends, speak with their family, and actually be able to describe in detail what happened, rather than just trying to be a little bit vague. It allows them to actually be part of that conversation again.
You had such an early launch at 17 into this career, and you're a young man now. You're what, 25-ish?
26.
Yeah, okay, so just 26. And here you are with hearsport.com. So you've taken your experience and what you've learned and what you've done, and you've created your own entity, your own company, and you're doing this work now. What has that journey been like, and what is your goal with Hear Sport?
Yeah, so I'll take you back to actually pretty much this exact time last year. I was at an event called the World Cup Innovation Summit. It was hosted by UNT, and there was a panel on with Monica Paul, who's head of the Dallas Sports Commission, and I decided to ask a question. I wasn't going to, I was there working the event for UNT, and I decided to ask a question, and I asked her and the rest of the panel members, for the World Cup and thereafterwards, what are you doing for the blind community? Will you be doing audio description? And it was pretty much silence from the panel for a good 20 or 30 seconds. And Monica basically said, I really like the idea, let's chat afterwards. So she came up to me, we booked in a meeting, and she's been brilliant throughout the whole process. And she basically said, I want to support you in this. How can I help? We'd done plenty of research when I first moved here, and even before. I discovered that basically the audio description isn't used in the United States. There's a little pocket of it in St. Louis from a charity that we're working with now called Mind's Eye. And they're doing a little bit of commentary, but they're just a charity and they don't do it for all of the games and all of the sports. So knowing that information, we went with Monica and she said, okay, what do you need? And we decided, let's start with soccer. Let's try and set up some meetings and see what we can do, which is then we've now had the partnership with Dallas Trinity for the past year. We've done 3 games with another 2 coming in the next couple of months. Looking ahead to next season as well to try and get that settled. But the overall goal is essentially to just create an accessible match day across all sports, not just soccer. We're starting in that because that's my sport and I know that inside and out. But we want that accessibility to be across all sports across the United States.
It's so transferable, and maybe a takeaway for young entrepreneurs who might be listening to this in industries that are unrelated, ask the question.
Yeah. I mean,
you asked a question of her that you at first were hesitant to ask.
Yeah, and look, I'm a confident person. I'm quite outgoing, but in that moment, I was really, really scared. Because I knew in my heart that if I asked this, the potential that it could it could lead to, and what it has led to, and that's I've told so many people this story, and I love that it all started with me just asking a question. It all comes down to networking. That's what sports is anyway, and creating those relationships. But then asking that question, trying to figure out where their hearts are and what their vision is. And, Monica, like I say, she's been really supportive and she really wants Dallas to lead the way and be pioneers. And Dallas Trinity have been. They're the first team, not just in Texas, but they're the first women's soccer team in the entirety of the United States to have audio description. And I think Dallas kind of likes that. The city of Dallas likes to lead and likes to continue to lead.
Oh, they do. You tapped into that. Yes.
I'm curious for folks who are looking forward to the World Cup this year, or what options do they have if they're blind or low vision to tune into the game and enjoy it?
Yeah, so we've bit of an awkward one. We worked with FIFA. I was there in 2022, and they've decided this year to go in a different direction. It hasn't been announced yet, so I'm not going to talk about what they're actually doing with it. But they're very much scaling back what they have done in previous years in terms of the way that they want to do audio description. So the service will be there. It'll be vastly different to what they've had previously. But there will be the option for fans to tune in when they're in the stadium via the app to audio description commentary.
Gotcha. Okay. And I wanted to ask, we do have a clip from FC Dallas. So to give people a sense of what your type of commentary sounds like, I'm hoping that you can give us a demonstration.
No pressure.
I know.
This is the gotcha moment.
Yeah, seriously. All right, so I have this queued up here.
Ball's gone down the middle of the field on the edge of the 18-yard box, right inside of it, now inside the 18-yard box, cuts back onside to his left foot, fires it into the bottom right corner, goal for FC Dallas. Farrington wheels away through the 18-yard box towards the corner flag on this near side. Jubilation from the players, smile across their faces, flags waving in the stands, red and white across a sea of flags really for FC Dallas, and they lead 37 minutes gone on the clock. How's that? Will that do?
And the podcast hosts go wild.
You
Good job.
Transformed. You were ready.
You just have to switch on. And even that,
Who
I'll
is
admit.
this other guy? Where did he come from? Does it take you back to those moments, taking you back to 17? I'm getting now why your mom said, keep it down.
Yeah, it used to be that, and we used to live in a terraced house, so we'd have a house either side of us. It wasn't detached. It was completely attached, so we had neighbours either side, so I used to shout the house down from as early as maybe 11 years old. But yeah, when I get to commentate, I've done 250 plus games now across the 8 years. I've done 3 continents, so many different tournaments, and just doing stuff like that, absolutely, it takes me back to the first couple of games that I did back when I was 17. And I still love doing it now.
Even though soccer's your job, do you still love soccer as much as you did when you were a little kid?
Yeah, I'd say so. Maybe not with my team. And I say that carefully. I still love my team, but especially now. So for those that are familiar with the Premier League, Nottingham Forest are back in there. We've been there now for the last 4 years. When I started commentating for them, they were in the 2nd division, battling relegation. we were not good. I was going week in, week out, having to commentate over my team, losing 3, 4, 5-0. It was difficult, and I had to kind of disassociate the fan from the commentator.
Yes.
And that's kind of continued. So look, I still love soccer. I love watching it week in, week out. But my team...
They're hurting you now as well.
Yeah, because we're not having a great season.
Yeah.
I'm certainly more disassociated with my team now than I was when I started, and that was a real difficult process, and something I tell young up and coming commentators that if you're ever going to have the opportunity to call your own team, you've got to take the fan out of it and understand that you're doing this for a neutral audience. You have to be 50-50.
Yeah, you can't project that you're less happy to do it because they're not winning.
Yeah, basically, yeah. You can't just get, it's a goal. Oh, yeah.
Finally.
Back of the net, yeah. Yes, it's another goal
They're
for the
never going to
opposition.
win, but at least they got to go.
Exactly. You have to have the same energy that I showed there for both teams, no matter what. And I've done England games as well.
Oof.
England defeats. That's as difficult. But again, you just have to take yourself away and understand that you've probably got listeners from a whole host of different backgrounds, different teams, nations, whatever that may be, listening. And you have to understand that they want to hear the same enthusiasm as you would have done for the other team as well. So
Miranda's husband, Dan, is a Liverpool fan. Is there anything you'd like to say directly to Dan?
Fire slot.
yeah, so Forest this season actually beat Liverpool.
And that was a dark day in our house.
It was a great time for us. It's been
Great. I can see where we're at.
Well, and he's also an England fan because his dad is English. So he's lived through some recent defeats.
Yeah, I won't say dark days for England. We've had some really good memories recently, but a couple of final defeats, which hopefully will change this year.
And that segues perfectly into what we've been asking everybody, which is what are your personal plans for the World Cup?
Well, the good news is, we said just before we came on air, I heard you say that all of your guests haven't got tickets.
We have one guest who's seeing 3 games, and we still can't quite figure that out because he's the only one of like a half dozen guests.
We'll make it 2. I do have a ticket.
No!
Yes!
This is late breaking news.
England versus Croatia.
Let's go!
At the Dallas Stadium.
Not AT&T.
Yes, at the Dallas Stadium. I do have a ticket for that first game. Very, very grateful and very blessed to have that ticket. I will be looking, though, as the World Cup goes on, I'm fairly sure there'll be some last-minute tickets. For example, Bosnia and Herzegovina are playing Jordan. I'm highly doubtful that's going to be a 40,000 sellout. And I think a couple of days before the game, I might have the opportunity to get on a plane and go out there. But I'll be supporting. Hopefully, there's still maybe a little bit involvement for Here Sport. We're still in a few contracts with that and a few discussions. So hopefully, there's a little bit of involvement from us. But at least from a fan's perspective, I'll be there with my England jersey on, backing us all the way.
All right. Elliott Stockdale, thank you so much from Here Sport. We appreciate you coming by.
Thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.